In today's video, I'm going to show you the process of how we created what is possibly my favorite garden on our property. And that's saying a lot because I have a lot of favorite little spaces around here. But this was such a fun project. You might remember last year we created a brand new garden in the middle of our field, and man, did we battle weeds and groundhogs, different things we learned along the way, but it didn't stop us from wanting to do it again, and even on another level. There's just nothing that quite beats that feeling of growing your own food. John and I both just love it. John grew up on a farm, so of course he still has that farmer instinct, and at home we lived on this property, but we always had our garden, and I know I didn't enjoy it as much back then, but I think it was still kind of ingrained in me to do this. So this year we're doing something totally different. My goal is to not grow anything that we won't use. We kind of dealt with that last year. Again, just trial and error with the first year. You kind of learn, what you actually use. My vision for the space is turning it into more of an orchard or a fruit garden. We all love fruit, and I know that's something that we would really enjoy having down here. And there's some other things that we're going to be planting in here too, but I want the garden to be kind of designed in different like rectangle shapes and little walkways and paths. We had planted some radishes last year as a winter crop. Of course, weeds came up too, but here we're just preparing the soil, getting it ready for planting. I had planted strawberries last year, ended up moving those because I wanted the space for the raspberries. This video will be jumping around a lot from the different projects that we did down here, but here I'm doing some weed whacking. This is an area where we planted some apple trees, and I wanted to mow some of the tall grass here. And last year I had actually planted some sweet williams that I had extra from my gardens, and I planted them in here. My vision for this space would be to just continue adding some more, wildflowers, just have that little orchardy look. I know this weed whacking apron isn't the prettiest thing around, but I tell you, it's one of the most awesome things after you're finished mowing, to just take it off and all the grass is collected on there versus on your clothes. We're laying down some landscape fabric, and then we're putting wood chips over that kind of to create our pathway in between the raspberries and the blueberries in this case. I didn't really want to use wood chips against any of the plants because I know there's zero nutrition in there, so we went with leaf compost and bull country compost, which if you're local you know what that is, but we use that to mulch the plants. So I'll go ahead and show you what has been done down here so far and what I still plan to do. As you can see, the strawberries are all mulched here. And yesterday we picked a handful and ate them. They were so good, sweet and juicy. There's still some more hanging on the plants, so hopefully we'll get some more. Here we have 2 rhubarb plants and an elderberry bush. And unfortunately, the deer chewed off some of the leaves of this bush. So disappointed. Not quite sure what we'll do about that. And this row here is blueberries. They also got some of those leaves too. And red and black raspberries along here. And then all the way at the end on this side, there's 2 blackberry bushes. Now for the empty spaces, in this rectangle I plan to plant some onions, pepper plants, tomato, and I might even put up a little trellis for a cucumber plant or 2. And I want to put a row of zinnias, probably in here. Marlene said she has some zinnia seeds, so I might just use those. I always like to have that for bouquets later on in the summer. And this large space in here, I want to have a tea garden. I've always wanted that. I love tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do drink tea, especially during the winter time. And then in the summertime, we have cold, iced tea, like garden tea. And I want to try some different kinds. And to do that, I want to add different rectangles using old boards. It won't exactly be a raised bed, but just boards to separate my different kinds of teas so they don't, grow into each other. And I have some fence board that was Mark's. My brother-in-law, he said I can have them. So I'm going to see how many there are and possibly create maybe 3 or 4 rectangles in here. I like how this is looking. Definitely nothing fancy, just some fence boards screwed together, but I think it'll do the job of keeping my different teas apart. And I can always even add a partition in the middle if I want to do, 2 different kinds of teas in one bed. My next thing I want to do is just take a shovel and dig a little trench of sorts along the boards and just make sure they sit down into the soil. I don't want any space underneath. So this rectangle section up here I plan to fill with onions, tomatoes, peppers, and cabbage. And this is all stuff that we actually use a lot of, especially onions. I like the idea that I can store them, over some of the winter months. They're going to be okay in the basement. And I have 3 different kinds that I plan to plant. We have a pair of brown thrashers that have a family in this brush pile, and whenever a cat comes around, in this case it's Twinkle up there, I'll try to zoom this in so you can tell. Twinkle is up there and the brown thrasher is right there. See if I can get closer. But that is the sound we hear all day long as there's a cat around. They don't scold us, just the cats. I guess they know who the enemy is, right? I'm kind of amazed that he dares to go that close to Twinkle. Twinkle is just chilling in the grass. Not a care in the world. So as this garden was coming together, I ended up having a section beside the T that I still had room for something. And I've always dreamed of having a rose garden. I almost can't believe I'm saying this because I know roses are really high maintenance and I have no experience with them, but I just love them and I think I'm going to try it. So my sister Marlene told me that Yoder's greenhouse has a really nice variety of roses, and I thought I'd stop in there first, see what they have, and ended up getting them all there. And they have this separate greenhouse with just roses pretty much, and it was just beautiful in there. I mean, the scent was amazing and all the colors together. Ended up waiting out a storm while I was in there. I was all by myself and it was so peaceful. I just love hearing the sound of rain on a greenhouse. I debated a nap, but I thought, no, I better get home and plant these roses. Of course, I'm kidding, but I really could have. It just sounded so nice. As I went to check out, I saw a large sign that said 15% off all roses and hydrangeas until Memorial Day, so that was definitely a bonus. I tried to get a variety of different kinds. That way I can kind of test, see what does the best for me. Hopefully they'll all do well for me, but here's a John F. Kennedy. I wish I knew my roses better, but hey, you gotta start somewhere, right? Hopefully I'll be able to learn from this. Oh, these roses are so beautiful. I have to get a video clip of them all together like this. I found these barbecue grill sections in one of the shops, and it's something we never use, and I thought, why not try to use it for my cucumber trellis? I have no idea, is this going to work? I've never grown cucumbers on a trellis. I'd be curious if any of you guys have ever done that. I saw it on Pinterest, and I thought how neat that would be if they just be contained onto a trellis versus, you know, climbing or crawling all over the place. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to plant some old-fashioned spearmint tea in the center raised bed. Marlene said I can get some starts from her. And then on the bottom bed, I plan to add straw flowers too. I had picked these up also at Yoder's greenhouse, and I love dried straw flowers. So I'm going to try it to see if I can dry some this year. And this is an annual, so it wouldn't stay in here. And in the future, I'll probably put some tea in that bottom bed. And then the top bed, I found some strawberry mint and some orange mint that I plan to plant in there. The final thing I'm adding here is aloe vera plants, and these are some that I've had up in the house, you know, for the past number of years, and planters. Sometimes I'll have them outside, you know, during the summer months, but my goal here would be to grow them really big and juicy, the leaves, so that I can use them to make soap with. And gotta say, I'm kind of surprised if this is going to work, but I have nothing to lose. I'm going to try it. I'm thinking maybe they would get too much moisture here. Not quite sure. Sometimes they just need some time to adapt then to their little environment here, but we'll see what happens. I found a beautiful old beehive at an antique mall recently, and I plan to add that down there in the orchard, and I want to dig it out here and paint it. I would love to have, actual bees in this hive. I don't know, is it going to happen or not? We've talked about it. I think it would be awesome if some would just find their way into the hive, but I think there's more to it than that. You actually have to kind of capture a swarm or trap it to get things started, but for now it's probably just for looks. I have a pretty yellow color here that I'm using. It's called Moonbeam. I can't believe I'm standing in my own rose garden. Like, I can't stop smiling. This was so much fun. I admit I've always been a bit intimidated by roses, but I'm going to try it and give it my best. If you guys have any tips for me, let me know down below in the comment section. I have one more thing I want to do, and this is regarding the beehive. And yep, you guessed it, I have a decor transfer that I plan to apply on the little roof part. Speaking of decor transfers, I recently received a box from Patterson Art Studio. I've talked about them before on here. I'm so excited with all of the products that she sent. I mean, check it out. There's many new things in here that I can't wait to try. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for sending these beautiful things. I'm always blown away how you just know exactly what I like. I mean, there's nothing in here that I'm not drawn to and just love. Can't wait to use these items. So make sure if you're needing anything along this line, check out their Etsy shop. It's Patterson Art Studio. Have the link down below in the description box, or you can just look it up on Etsy. Just now, a Baltimore Oriole landed right in front of me on one of the tomato cages. Oh, I wish I could flip the camera around. Now he hopped down to the onions. So beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed following along as we worked on this project. I gotta say, this is probably one of my new favorite spots here on our property. I'm pretty sure I'll be spending a lot of time down here, and I'll try to keep you guys updated on, what's going on and, how things are doing. And I also want to encourage you, if you enjoy this sort of thing or you think you would, I mean, try it. It's not that great of an expense to do something like this. I mean, sure, there's a lot of hard work involved, but of course, in here, the roses were the biggest expense, but it's just amazing the feeling you get of growing your own food. Like, there's just nothing better than that. Like, what's being put in there. You're not, eating or drinking some harmful chemicals. And it's just more the satisfaction of being able to, grow your own food. If times get tough, you have your garden to go to. That's how I grew up. Like, we always had, gardens at home, and it definitely kind of sticks with you, I think, if you, grew up that way. But it's still never too late to give it a shot. And pretty sure if you kind of like that sort of thing, you'd really enjoy gardening and just, again, that feeling of, growing your own food. So let's head down to the beehive. So thanks again, guys, for following along as we worked on this fun project, and I hope your day is going great, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.